MOFA says the Holy See has repeatedly reassured Taipei that the agreement will be purely on religious affairs and will not affect bilateral ties. Hualien County Magistrate Fu Kunqi has slammed the government over his legal case, saying that it is downright political persecution. The Taichung High Court has sentenced Fu to 8 months of imprisonment on charges of violating the Securities and Exchange Act, and the Supreme Court has rejected Fu's appeal. This means that Fu must start serving time behind bars within 1 month, and the central government will appoint someone to be the acting magistrate less than 2 months before the November 24th local elections. Fu was accused of speculating on hold key electric wire and cable shares in 2003 when he was a lawmaker. The case went back and forth through the district and high court for 14 years, and Fu says the DPP administration purposely chose to announce this final verdict at this crucial moment to sabotage the Hualien magisterial election. The KMT has nominated Fu's wife, Xu Zhengwei, as the candidate for Hualien. An official with the U.S. Trade Representative is visiting Taiwan. Acting Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for China Affairs Terrence McCartan is set to meet with Economics Minister Sen Rongjing. Taiwan is seeking a waiver for U.S. tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, and that is expected to be a topic of discussion at their meeting. Agricultural products are also expected to be brought up. Official bilateral talks under the Trade and Investment Framework Agreement have been stalled since October of 2016, and they're not expected to resume in the short term. However, trade officials from both sides say working-level talks are ongoing and communication is smooth. In world news, the most powerful typhoon of the season is closing in on the northern Philippines. Officials there have ordered precautionary evacuations and closures of schools and offices and urged farmers to quickly harvest their crops to reduce damage. Forecasters say Super Typhoon Mangkhut, which is considered the strongest so far this year, could hit northern Cagayan province on Saturday. The provincial government is set to evacuate residents ahead of the expected onslaught, and classes will be suspended and businesses advised to close. Other northern provinces will also start evacuating residents from low-lying areas. On Guam, Mangkhut has already left flooded streets, downed trees, and widespread power outages. Europe's Human Rights Court is about to publish what could be a landmark ruling on the legality of mass surveillance. The case, brought by civil liberties, human rights, and journalism groups and campaigners, challenges British surveillance and intelligence sharing practices revealed by American whistleblower Edward Snowden. The European Court of Human Rights says the complainants believe that British and U.S. spy agencies may have intercepted their electronic communications. The court plans to issue its ruling this morning, Europe time. India has banned the manufacture and sale of more than 300 potentially unsafe drugs, including some painkillers and medicines for diabetes. The ban impacts about 6,000 brands. Our correspondent Rebecca Bunton reports from Mumbai.
India's government, with immediate effect, has prohibited the manufacture, sale, and distribution of 328 so-called fixed-dose combination drugs containing 2 or more active ingredients. An expert panel cited safety issues, finding that some of these drugs were being formulated without due diligence, resulting in risk to people taking these medicines. The drugs included certain skin creams and painkillers. Manufacturers had been battling to try to prevent the products from being banned. For ICRT News in Mumbai, I'm Rebecca Bunton.
Indian health authorities, meanwhile, are rushing medical supplies to some North Indian towns and villages where at least 50 people have died from fever over the past 2 weeks. A health official from Uttar Pradesh state says patients suffering from fever and bouts of shivering are crowding hospitals in the region. One hospital had received more than 1,500 patients since August 30th. He says the cause of the deaths is not currently known. Taking a look at Taiwan weather this afternoon, we can continue to see sunny to cloudy skies island-wide. This evening, generally clear skies with overnight lows of 25 to 27. Right now, it's 34 in Taipei, 31 in Taichung, 31 in Hualien, and 32 degrees in Kaohsiung. That's the ICRT News at 4. I'm Eric Gao.
以上 ICRT 整点新闻由美国的专家 Masons 美诚移民赞助播出。
Hello, everybody. Hope you guys can hear me. We're working on a new setup here, so let us know if everything is working as it should. Give me a moment as I send the newscast to the website. There was a typo here that I wanted to fix. There it is.
Don't worry. Are you ready? Are you ready for my new setup?
Yes,
I've been working on this all day. Well, ma'am. Hello.
I'm assuming it's working. I can't see.
It looks like it's
from here.
working. I'm monitoring everything here.
All right. Hey guys. Hey, what's up? Oh, I probably shouldn't close that because we still need to talk about things. One moment.
Yep.
Stay with me.
Okay, let me just say hi to everybody. Liao Anting, hello. Su Ziwen, hello. Su Ziwen wants us to talk about hurricane and typhoon.
All right.
Let's talk about that.
We can talk about that. So, as that story said, the typhoon currently appears to be heading more towards the Philippines than Taiwan.
Yeah.
We kind of knew this already, that it was trending southward the closer that it got to us. So far from what we know, the CWB is still saying that they might issue sea warnings for areas south of Taiwan on tomorrow morning, maybe, depending on how strong it is.
Yes.
We probably won't see land warnings because obviously it's closer to the Philippines than it is to us here in Taiwan.
Okay.
Though southern Taiwan is still likely to see plenty of wind and rain.
Yes.
And of course, last month, with just the tropical depression, we already saw lots of flooding. So the government here is taking that very seriously. They're telling the local governments to make preparations. They're getting the Ministry of Economic Affairs and the Water Resources Agency to work together with the local governments to make sure that things don't flood again.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
I mean, we'll see.
Okay, let's talk about this really quickly. Let me, because right now I have the overlay on, and it says that what we're talking about is going to be the reported China-Vatican deal.
Yes, about that. So, the Vatican is Taiwan's only European diplomatic ally. So, they are definitely a topic of concern when it comes to, the recent spate of our diplomatic allies changing allegiance to China. Obviously, the Vatican is saying that no matter what happens with this deal, ties with Taiwan will remain strong. But we don't know if that's going to be true forever.
Right.
I mean, the Vatican is largely interested in the Catholic population, and obviously China has many more Catholics than Taiwan does, just by population size. So with this new deal, which would theoretically be about letting China pick its official bishops, which has always been the point of contention between the two governments, though the Vatican would have some sort of input on that. I don't know if they would make the nominations and then Beijing would choose, or would Beijing just say, we're going to choose this, and Vatican says, okay, we approve it.
Well, what's really interesting is the past few days I read actually that China actually cracked down on one of the biggest churches, and I think it's one of the biggest official churches. They have official and unofficial underground churches that they run there, and they shut one down called the Zionist Church, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't know if that's a pressure tactic that China's using or what. It's hard to say at this point. Obviously China is not a big fan of organized religion in general. That's kind of the whole deal with Falun Gong. Right, because Falun Gong, they realized that, they can actually get a lot of people to do things, which is why Falun Gong is largely persecuted.
Organized.
In China.
Organized,
and so that's why we see them here in Taiwan at all the big tourist attractions where Chinese nationals go.
Yeah. So what was MOFA's official what was their statement here, man? What's going on? Because we've been losing allies left and right. All right.
Unfortunately,
most recently, El Salvador. This Vatican deal where they're talking about getting cardinals in, or was the cardinals?
Bishops.
Sorry. I don't really. That's pretty much the same thing to me.
Not religious people. Sorry.
So what did MOFA say? Who said what? Let me know.
MOFA spokesman basically said that they are aware of this deal that's being talked about. They didn't give any specifics. I don't think anyone outside the actual negotiations really knows the specifics of what's being discussed. But international media in Hong Kong and other places, they've been saying that this deal is likely targeting the bishop's issue, and some were saying it might be signed within a month, the end of this month maybe. MOFA is saying yes, they are aware of it. Yes, they're closely following all the proceedings, and they're just reassuring us, the people of Taiwan, that the Vatican is not going to change diplomatic allegiance.
How sure are they really? How sure?
Pretty sure. I don't feel that the Vatican would be the kind to waffle on these things.
Did you just say waffle?
I said waffle.
Did you really just say waffle?
I did say waffle.
I haven't had lunch yet. Okay.
What? It's 4:00. Why have you not had lunch yet?
Yeah. Did they tear down the whole building? I don't think they tore down the whole building. Julian asks if they tore down the whole building. I don't think they tore down the whole building. It was just a crackdown.
They have been tearing down like obvious signs of religion. Like they've been tearing crosses off of churches.
Have they really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So they don't like those visible representations.
Right. Okay, so that's what's going on with China-Vatican Taiwan deal. What's this about? You told me before that you want to talk about surveillance. What's going on with surveillance?
Right. So I don't have the full details here, but the European Court of Human Rights, yes, the Court of Human Rights, they are set to make a ruling later today about the legality of mass surveillance. And I thought that this was relevant to us here in Taiwan because obviously we do have a lot of surveillance cameras everywhere in the city or in the country. Obviously I don't spend much time outside of Taipei, so I don't know what it's like in other major cities around the island. But here in Taipei, at least, there's a lot, and on the news, we see this kind of footage everywhere, be it car cams, dash cams, or just
a lot of this stuff is private, though, right? It's not really part of the government. Wait, you said who is trying to pass this legislation?
It's not legislation. They're making a ruling. So human rights groups, no, in the EU.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. EU, the journalist groups, human rights groups, they have challenged the legality of having all these cameras everywhere and how they're used and how they gather information and who they share that with.
Yeah.
In this case, UK sharing information with the US. And again, I just think it's very relevant to us because we see camera footage everywhere here in Taiwan.
I think Taiwan is one of the most heavily cameraed cities or heavily surveillance cities or however you want us to call it. There's more CCTV here apparently more than anywhere else on earth in Taipei, at least. That's what I heard.
I heard London was the highest.
Yeah, that's also what I heard.
I do know that Taipei does have a lot. I mean, we have traffic cameras everywhere. Stores have them. And of course, everyone has their dash cams now in their cars.
Yeah.
So on the devil's advocate here, I don't think that Taiwanese authorities tend to abuse this. Actually, we use this a lot for, what we see on
legal purposes and stuff like that
on the news, right? We see them like, okay, we saw this criminal committing this act, so we have footage of it.
Yeah.
Or even I hear that like a lot of tourists lose their phones on cabs or something.
Sure.
And the way they find it is not using GPS. They say, when and where did you get off? And they go looking for security cameras. And then they say, oh, you were on this taxi. We can call them and find out where your phone is.
This does help a lot. It really does. Like that a lot of people.
We hear this all the time with like Korean or Japanese tourists who come to Taiwan.
Sure.
They lose their phone. They go to the police. We lost our phones. Can you help us? And they get it back within a couple hours, which is mind-boggling in a city as big as Taipei, right? We got millions of people. We got cars running around everywhere.
Geographically, Taipei is not that big,
right? But just tracking down one phone in a car that all they know is that it's a cab, right?
Yeah.
No one says like, oh, I was in cab number whatever.
This is true.
And they can just track it down by looking at the footage and say, okay, you were at this location at this time. And there you go.
Johnny Lamb says, or really drunk when people are really drunk.
That might help.
I have people who lost wallets. I think I lost. My brother, oh my God, hold on, I think my dad's watching. I don't think I should tell this story, but my brother once left his wallet in a cab. And the thing is, my brother didn't bring any ID with him, and all he had was like a United States driver's license. And the thing is, he had a credit card that he had a credit card in there. But the thing is, the taxi driver looked at the credit card and he was like, okay, it's at this bank. So he returned it to that bank.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
okay. Moving on, let's go to the big story of interest, and let me just change the little the title here. We're going to talk about Typhoon. What is it? Mangkhut?
Mangkhut. Mangkhut.
Okay.
Hey, Mang.
Okay, let's talk about this. This is the one that a lot of people are talking about. And if you look at there's something really interesting popped on my newsfeed just a little while ago. Do you know that there are 9 storm systems right now in the entire planet? 9.
Yeah.
And they're all in the northern hemisphere. They're in a straight line, and I think there's like 4 in the Pacific. No, 5 in the Pacific, like 4 in the Atlantic. And not only that, but there's a huge hurricane that's about to strike the United States. Or
South Carolina, I believe.
Was it called Hurricane Harvey, I think?
Something like that.
Something like that.
And one just hit Hawaii, too.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of big storms going on right now, people.
Right now, there's a super typhoon
approaching the Philippines.
So it's going to be the south of Taiwan, and it's also going to be in the Philippines. It's going to hit mostly worried about the Philippines.
Yeah, from that story, it sounds like it's going to make landfall in the Philippines.
Yeah.
We were concerned earlier this week that this might hit Taiwan, but it's been trending south the entire week. So now it's going to pass us by, though we're still going to get hit by the outer edges, maybe strong winds, heavy rain, things like that.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's a super typhoon now, right?
It has been.
And there's going to be. Is Hurricane Harvey Category 5 yet?
I don't know. I haven't been following that story.
You haven't been following that story. So I think it's a Category 5 because North Carolina, South Carolina have all declared states of emergency. Millions of people have been evacuated.
Wow.
And this is a thing, Eric. It's September.
Serious.
It's early September, and we're working on trying to, just like. And then Johnny Lamb says right here. He says the climate change is not a real thing. Says the U.S. president. I very much so think that we're supposed to be worried about this. Absolutely, 110%. What's the outlook? What's the weather outlook that's just supposed to bring? To Taiwan, to Philippines, what should we expect with 9 storm systems in the entire world, northern hemisphere?
Well, only one of them is really going to affect us.
Well, the thing is, there's 9 of these things in the world right now. Has that ever happened?
I don't know. I'm not a weather statistician.
That sounds like doomsday stuff. This is. You've seen that movie, The Day After Tomorrow. This is how that movie started.
后天.
No. 明天过后. That's what it is.
It was 后天 in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for Taiwan, we're probably going to get rain that day, this weekend, I should say, throughout. The central government is already telling people, local residents and local governments, that you should be prepared, be aware that obviously just last month we had huge flooding from just a tropical depression. I believe those storms are based off of wind speed, not by the amount of rain they're dropping.
Yeah.
So it just means that as tropical depression, it wasn't bringing huge rain, but it still brought a lot of water.
And if you were in Taipei last Saturday, at least, we had flash floods.
Yeah, there was a huge torrential downpour in Taipei just out of the blue, and there was that one guy in that water spout in that video you were showing.
Which one?
The dude in the
oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
He forgot his own newsfeed. It's fine.
So we had the torrential floods in the south of the week before. We had it a week ago in Taipei, and now we have the super typhoon coming. And there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. There's the Creamfields Music Festival that's in Taipei. I think Kesha has a concert.
Is that an outdoor one?
That's an indoor one. But people shouldn't be leaving the house during a super typhoon.
Well, again, super typhoon is going to be to the south of us. It's not going to hit us that strong.
Yeah.
So people should be fine, just more in southern Taiwan than here in northern Taiwan. Southern Taiwan should be more concerned about it. You guys should probably stock up on water, stock up on food just in case.
Do your things.
Make sure that your gutters are clean so they're not stopped up in case water comes pouring from the sky.
I'm really worried about this, man.
Don't go down south this weekend.
I didn't plan on it.
So.
Okay. So we don't have a lot of questions. Johnny Lamb's weighing in. He's saying, he said.
I already said what he said.
Last Saturday was insane. Indeed. Absolutely. Indeed. The rain. Okay. So. Are we going to go to the third part? Did you prepare 3 questions like me and Nancy usually do, or did you not?
I completely forgot. So
looking at you didn't. Okay.
Hit me.
So, welcome to the new format. Oh wait, Dennis Ty, the weather would just go worse like that, and I think there are too many Make the on earth ill, to be honest. Yeah, for real. Johnny Lamps' barbecue at Joseph's place at a typhoon day. Last time I went to a barbecue, last time I went to a barbecue at Joseph's house, it was this time last year, and it was raining.
Well, typhoon days is traditionally KTV days, from what I understand.
Don't do that. Just don't do that. Don't go to no KTV.
Yeah, just stay
don't
home,
go to the movies.
Stay safe.
You think it's not going to happen to you, but the next thing you know, if these winds pick up really fast. Did you see footage from? Oh my God! Don't get me started about Japan.
Oh, dude,
Japan's been getting hit by typhoons
and earthquakes at the
same time. My dad's in Japan, and he's like, "Oh, it's not so bad." But if you see
It's crazy.
some of this footage, there's like roofs being blown off the tops of houses.
Cars being turned over.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Things being ripped off. I'm going there in a week.
Yeah.
To Tokyo. I'm a little bit worried. I know Osaka is not Tokyo, but still.
Okay, so if anybody else wants to weigh in, I don't like the typhoon. It will contribute to lots of disasters. I mean, it always does.
Obviously, Philippines are going to be pretty hard hit. They're already evacuating people.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere they've been hit by 20 storms this season.
Philippines?
That might be too many.
That's not. I wouldn't be surprised if that was Japan.
Let me see if I can find that story real quick, but it was a lot.
Dennis, you remind me of Thanos. Lots of disasters. Also, another thing that Jane brought up a good point about was just that there was a lot of flooding in the south, right? And a lot of cars got ruined. So if you park your car outside, you better make sure you park it on some high ground or something like that.
Also, now is not a good time to be buying secondhand cars.
That too. Okay, so that's going to be it for our new format of web news.
Mangkhut is the 15th storm this year to hit the Philippines. That's a lot.
That's ridiculous.
Taiwan has like 2 this year. 1.
I would venture to say 3 or 4.
We only had the 1 typhoon day, and we had the tropical depression.
To be honest, I thought what's it called? I thought Japan would have gotten hit the worst.
Japan, I think, has been hit by stronger ones. I think Philippines has.
Anytime I checked the weather over this past like 3 weeks, Japan always had something over it or under it. If you want to talk about the earthquake, I mean, I'm worried.
Japan.
I'm worried. Hang in there, Japan. Okay, so let's wrap this up really quickly because my laptop's running out of battery.
Yeah. All right, we're done then.
All right, so thank you guys for joining us. I will pass on your goodwill to Nancy. This is going to be the new format for web news. We're going to have more information for you on there.
Yeah, let us know if you guys like the new overlay.
Yeah.
Any suggestions or comments on how we can make it even better, more useful for you guys, let us know in the comments below.
All right, peace out, everybody. Thank you for tuning in once again. Bye-bye.